Hello, my name is Amos Tarfa, and I'm here to talk to you about the education revolution. I believe that America needs to change in its approach to education. It actually needs to not only change methods here and there, I'm saying we need to go back to the basics. We need to go back to scratch and ask ourselves, what are we doing and why are we doing what we're doing? Now, why is this important? So I've been involved in education now for over 12 years, and I have watched a lot of change over time. And honestly, when the smartphones came, we began to see some changes in some of it. I've seen changes in motivation levels, maybe engagement with the material. And I understand that there's definitely some impact of the smartphones on time management and how it affects people's willingness to get engaged with their schoolwork. And I get that. That's a whole big topic we'll talk about at some point, I'm sure, in our episodes. We're going to be doing a series of episodes on education revolution. The goal of the series is to help families to learn how to help their own children to flourish in having the world-class education they should be getting, as well as vision for life. What are they doing with the lives they've been blessed with? So I want to talk a little bit about who I am, how I got here, and what LifeSTEM Academy is about, which is a school and a movement, hopefully by God's grace, that aims to bring a solution to this problem that I'm talking about. So my name is Amos Tarfa, as I said, grew up in Nigeria. I came to the United States in 2007 to get my degree in chemistry. But my degree in chemistry was a pre-med degree, so the goal was to become a pediatrician, to inspire young people to, like Ben Carson did in his book, Gifted Hands, right? So there's Gifted Hands and Think Big, books that Dr. Ben Carson wrote back in the day. And I read Think Big, and I was inspired to, go into a profession where I can begin to inspire young people. That was kind of that was the vision. Come to America, pre-med chemistry, become a pediatrician, doctor by day, a teacher in the evening, inspiring kids. Maybe not as a traditional teacher, but kind of traveling and speaking in different venues. That was the goal. Now, during my junior year of college, some things happened that changed the rest of my life, right? So in my junior year of college, I took a class called the Philosophy of Science. And during this time, I had an opportunity to learn a lot about the nature of science. How does science work? And part of why I took the class was because I had heard about the philosophy program at the school I was in, some of the things people were learning. These were things that I would be talking about even if I didn't have to take the class, right? I was passionate about those things because I was passionate about the Bible and its influence in all forms of learning. So I was excited about philosophy before I took philosophy of science. But when I took the course, though, my heart for the mind and engaging people with conversation and all that just grew a lot more, and also my understanding of science. And so we had a guest speaker on April 1st of 2009 who talked about the problem of suffering and evil, and how it basically was showing that there is no God, or the question of the existence of God connected to the problem of suffering. He was talking about how because of this unnecessary suffering in the world, maybe there is no God, right? So this is where I'm sitting down in philosophy of science. I'm a chemistry major, and I'm just here to have conversations about philosophy and so on. And after that conversation, I went and I had a conversation with this gentleman. I asked him questions in class, and then I went to the faculty lounge. They had us have a discussion about what he shared. And after that meeting on April 1st of 2009, I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that I wasn't supposed to be a doctor. I wasn't supposed to be a traditional medical doctor at that point. Instead, I was supposed to do something with teaching and the mind and apologetics. So I gave up my MCAT studies, and I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to medical school. I'm going to focus on more of the PhD route or apologetics. That was April of 2009. I graduated in 2010. I got my degree in chemistry and philosophy. And so apologetics was part of my world at this point. I love studying books from, Stephen Meyer, John Lennox, Doug Axe, people from the Discovery Institute, people from different groups that write about science and faith. I love that whole genre, and I still do some of that today. And so I taught for 2 years, from 2011 to 2013, at a private school, which was one of the best things that happened to me because I got a chance to inspire and talk to young people, which is the thing that I always wanted to do, but didn't maybe know the best way to go about it, right? So I did that for 2 years. And after the 2 years, in 2013, I started writing math almost like full-time. I mean, full-time writing math, organizing math, and helping kids with their math education. That started prior to 2013, but 2013 was when it became the main thing I did. And then I worked with tutoring over about 50, 75 students, depending on the season. So I was doing a lot of tutoring, and I was doing, math curriculum, studies. This led to a book that we wrote called Tools for Mastering Mathematics, which you can find in the description section or you can email me if you would like a copy. And so I wrote that book, and part of the idea was I realized that the math education in America was broken. It has too much duplication, not enough mastery, and the mindset that a lot of kids have towards math needs to be adjusted. So I wrote the book to address the mindset, and I also wrote the book to provide students with tools to become good at math. So that was a resource for students. Since that time, we've written curriculum that can help anybody from first grade to calculus. And so that's a little bit of my background in the math world. So remember, there's the apologetics and science, and then there's the mathematics. Fast forward to 2016. My friend, I had already been doing some work with my friend in medical physics, and my friend now owned the company that I was involved with, and so he gave me the opportunity. I became full-time, and I started doing my graduate work in medical physics. So medical physics comes into the equation because tutoring and math writing were not as sustainable in terms of having a family. We had like 2 kids at the time, and it wasn't sustainable to just do these sort of freelance tutoring. So I did the medical physics. It was a great opportunity, and I'm grateful for the time I had doing medical physics, and had some of the best co-workers in the world, and I thank God for every one of them. So I did that from 2016 to 2023. But during those years, I was involved here and there with a little bit of education opportunities. In 2022, we started a STEM school, right? And that's going to tie back to what we're about and how to help kids have a vision for life. So in 2022, we started Life STEM Academy. The goal was to have this 2-day-a-week school where we can help students to explore, learn, discuss what they're learning, give presentations. This was mostly with homeschool students. We wanted to add another layer of learning for those who are homeschooling. Again, think about this. Imagine you're learning biology or physics or chemistry or history, and you learn some exciting stuff. You do a project on biotechnology. Now you have an opportunity to share that with your classmates, right? And the difference between sharing it with your parents and your brothers and sisters and your classmates is now you're getting comfortable talking to strangers, quote unquote, right? And you're getting comfortable working, making presentations about the things that you're passionate about. That's part of why Life STEM Academy exists. I believe homeschooling is one of the best ways to educate a child. The student-teacher ratio is great. The opportunity to pick your own curriculum is wonderful. But imagine if you could add one more thing that is even cooler yet, which is collaboration opportunities within the things that you're studying. I'm not talking about socialization here. I'm not talking about I'm just going to go hang out and socialize with people. I'm talking about time that you can dedicate to collaborating on projects. For example, the physics students at Life STEM Academy are going to try to brainstorm what it takes to build a machine that can pick up tennis balls. This vision came partly because I was playing tennis one day, and I realized if you serve the ball several times and you have to go pick up all the tennis balls on the other side, it would be cool if you had a machine that just helped you pick up the tennis balls. So we started a project on that. So they're going to read through their sections in physics, and they're brainstorming, and they're thinking together with other people in physics that have a passion for picking up tennis balls. Whether or not they have the passion, I'm just glad they're thinking about giving me a solution to be a better tennis player. So anyways, that's an idea for collaboration. So Life STEM Academy wants to provide an opportunity for collaboration. There are 5 C's that guide our discussion, and this would tie to the main issue I want to end with in this American Revolution, Education Revolution podcast. We have 5 C's. The first one is called Christ Exalted. There is no education that can happen really well without an element of worldview and faith and philosophy discussion. We need to ask the question, why does anything matter? And for Life STEM Academy, we say Christ Exalted. We want our students to learn the Bible. We want them to engage with the stories and learn the stories and seek to apply what they learn as they read the Bible. So Christ Exalted. That's number 1. The Bible says in Colossians chapter 1, right, that he's before all things. He created all things. John chapter 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Students need to realize that truth has its essence, and the essence, the beginning of all of it goes back to Jesus Christ. And so we want our students to learn about Jesus, to learn about the Word, And so we have chapel with our students every Monday and Thursday, or the days that they come for their hybrid classes. So we have chapel. It's a great opportunity to learn different parts of the Bible, to learn about how to live in light of God's word. We have guest speakers. We do international chapels because we want our students to learn from different parts of the world, right? We've had people share about India, about Nicaragua, Nigeria, Angola. We want our students to learn about the gospel and the truth. That's number one. Education without a foundation in truth is really not solid education. You can't do that because you need to answer the question, why does anything matter and where does truth come from? And it comes from the Word of God. Number two, we need our students to grow in character. So it's tied to the faith element, but we need them to have character development. Are they growing to be more like Christ? And we want them to grow in character. So that's the second C. We want our students to be deliberate about what does it mean to be a person of character? What does it mean to learn from our mistakes, right? Nobody's perfect. We know that, but how can we learn from our mistakes and grow? In Philippians chapter 3, it talks about pressing on to what lies ahead. We want our students to learn in that. Number three, we have community built. Now, remember I mentioned the smartphone thing at the beginning? There's research out there. I mean, whether you're talking about Jonathan Haidt or The Coddling of the American Mind, or you're talking about Twenge's work, and I don't know Jean Twenge, Dr. Jean Twenge as much, but if you look at their work, you see that they talk about the impact of smartphones and technology. And the smartphones have actually affected a lot of young people in negative ways, in bad ways. There's some young people that are addicted to these technology, social media tools, and they're spending hours on end on these gadgets, not helping themselves to become better at calculus or physics, but just wasting time. There's no other way to put it, right? And so we want our students, instead of spending excessive time on smartphones, we want them to be in community settings where they're, maybe it's a community opportunity to serve their community. Maybe it's a community opportunity to learn about finance, right? There's a parent that has talked about that at our school, where our students can do financial literacy training. Imagine if somebody invited their friends, hey, do you want to come over on Friday? We're going to have a discussion about finance and budgeting, and we're just going to have time together as a community discussing that. Or it could be other topics, right? Let's discuss a classic together. No pressure. They could do that as well. So we want students to have community opportunities. That's part of why LifeSTEM Academy exists. And within those community opportunities, we want them to have opportunities to discuss things that they're passionate about with others who are passionate about those things as well. So remember, our core students are homeschool students. Most of our students are homeschool students. Moving into the next school year, God willing, everybody essentially is going to be a homeschool hybrid student. Whether they're doing a single hybrid option or some who are doing a double hybrid. Everybody is doing homeschool options. And so we want our students to have the opportunity to collaborate with other people. I'll tell you a story about collaboration here in a second. But we want our students to collaborate with one another, encourage one another in the things that they're passionate about. So we have Christ exalted, we have character development, we have community built, and that is partly tied to collaboration. A quick story on that is about a man called Michael Faraday. Michael Faraday was an inventor or an experimental physicist in the 1800s, early 1800s into mid 1800s. And he did a lot of good work in showing that electricity and magnetism were connected. And so Michael Faraday was good at experiments, but he wasn't very good at high-level mathematics, and that's because he actually didn't go to college. Michael Faraday was born into a very poor background. But Michael Faraday met somebody called James Clerk Maxwell. James Clerk Maxwell was a physicist, a mathematical physicist to be specific. And as a mathematical physicist, he had done a lot of work, like finding out the rings of Saturn. What was the components of the rings of Saturn? He had done work involving other types of math challenges. And at the age of 15, he was already publishing math writings that his professor or his teacher had to present on his behalf. So James Clerk Maxwell was very good at mathematics. Michael Faraday was very good at experimental physics. They met at some point in life, and because of that collaboration, James Clerk Maxwell was able to bring some of the experimental skills of Michael Faraday into mathematical writing, right? It was amazing how the collaboration happened. So you might homeschool and ask, well, why do I need to go to a hybrid? Or why do I need to go to some co-op or event when I could just homeschool my kid and we're done with school at noon and everything's great? That's great that you guys are enjoying school or things are going well. But imagine what could happen if your child has an interest that other kids in the school at Lifestem Academy or at a co-op, they also have that interest, and now they collaborate. And now these kids are releasing high-level work from collaboration, right? You think of some of the greatest advancements in history and how collaboration played a role. We want our students to know how to collaborate. So Christ exalted, character development, community built, which ties to collaboration. And then the last two things, and then we'll land our plane, is we have the career preparation before content mastery. So I put career preparation before content mastery, and there's a reason for that. We need to help our students to have direction, knowing where they're going in life. Where is your student going? Guys, America does some things that nobody else does. I'll give you a few things we do or that we don't do that other people do. Number one, America is one of the only places I know where you don't have to be fluent in a second language. Like everybody, almost everywhere, learns a second language, right? And now some of those people might know Mandarin and now they're learning English, or some of them might know Spanish and now they're learning English, or some of them might know English and now they're learning French. They're learning multiple languages. In America, we're not required to do that, right? But there is something about language learning, and we do language learning at Lifestem Academy, French and Spanish and Japanese. We do language learning, and we want our kids to learn other languages. It's important for them to learn about other cultures, but then also other languages and how language works, right? So we should encourage our students to learn another language. But in America, again, it's not required. You could just do a year of Spanish or French and just get it out of the way, and many people just forget it. So I really want to encourage you to think about that in helping your child learn. But here's the second thing that is even more important than language learning in the big scheme of things. We have high school graduates in America. And please, if you're graduating high school this year, I'm not trying to put shame or judgment on you. I'm just trying to tell you a challenge before us as a nation so that if you're a junior and you're watching this, you don't make the same mistake. We have this thing in America where we tell people that you don't need to know what you need to do with your life till later, till you get to college. Try out some generals. And I am actually at a point, after teaching now for over 12 years, that I think that's actually one of the biggest lies that is destroying a lot of young people's lives in America. What do I mean by this? A couple of ways. Number one, we have students going to college, taking on student loan debt, graduating without knowing for sure if they want to do those things that they're studying, and then regretting that. You don't need to wait till college to know what you want to do. You can actually take time while you're in middle school and high school to explore careers, to get a folder and start documenting your journey of different fields that you're studying. You could do that. There's nothing wrong with that. In other countries of the world, in many countries, they put people on a track, right? I was in the medicine track. So when I was in high school, in 10th grade, I knew I was going to medical school. That was my path. And what's interesting is in Nigeria, you can't pivot as much. So if you go for medicine, you can't all of a sudden decide to become a chemical engineer later. In America, you can. I've met a conductor who's a medical doctor now. That's amazing. America allows you to pivot. But you need to have a direction. I would even argue that part of the middle school problem that we see with discipline and kids who don't care in middle school America is because we've told them they don't need to have a direction. No, they need to have a direction. Even if you're in 7th grade, you should have a direction, right? If you don't like blood, and blood makes you run away, you're probably not going to like blood next year. Like, it doesn't just change like that. Now, maybe some help can come and you can be okay with blood and become a doctor. But generally, we meet people in 7th, 8th grade. They love to tinker. They love math. They love robotics. Okay, maybe consider engineering. If you choose to pivot later, that's okay. That's okay. But have a direction. How can we tell millions of children not to have direction? Or but tell them they don't need to have direction, or not encourage them to have direction? We really need to change America. We really need to help our young people to be thinking about careers in middle school, in 6th grade. And we did that with our school at Lifestem Academy. All 6th to 12th graders got a binder. They did their personality test. They did their career assessment. A lot of them were realizing, I think I want to do this. I want to do that. Now, some of them said they wanted to do some things that I'm like, I don't think so. Right? When you say you want to be a professional athlete, and you don't have necessary tools, or you're not in a upper league for those fields, that could be a concern. And I'm not trying to bash anyone's dreams, but we got to be realistic, right? My kids are not going to become centers in the NBA. That's just not going to happen, right? My wife and I are about 5'6". My kids are probably going to be a point guard if they wanted to. However, I would recommend that they maybe consider getting their training in whatever field they're passionate about, and then if they end up in the NBA, great. But anyways, my kids don't have plans for the NBA. But I'm just saying, if the kids don't have the height or the skills, they should be realistic about their goals. Parents, we can work on helping every child to have direction and vision so that when they're in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, they're focused on that thing they're passionate about. And job shadowing. We don't really do much homework at our school because I want our kids to go home and like after the school hours, be shadowing, be working with people. And when you find out what you want to do, just hold on to that. Think of ways to make that field better. This is a good book called The Thomas Jefferson Education. It talks about rethinking how we educate. And I'm going to talk about this in our podcast series over the next few weeks. And so please stay tuned for these episodes. Every week you get the full episode, and then I'll release the shorter segments throughout the week. But there'll be a day where you get the full video. And so we want to help every child to grow in being a leader. We want every child to grow in being who they've been made to be. They've all been created for a purpose. They all have potential. Every child's life matters. Let's help every child to flourish and become who God has made them to be. So I got my bachelor's in chemistry and philosophy, as I said. I got my master's in medical physics and medical health physics. And then I did a year of a PhD program in chemistry, physical chemistry / STEM education. And I have a passion to change STEM education in America, to help every child find their calling and vision and direction. We have a school in Moorhead, Minnesota, as well as Grand Forks, North Dakota. But we also are open to having video calls and helping people in different communities online, hoping to do more in Duluth, Minnesota, as well as Sioux Falls, South Dakota, down the road, God willing. And so these are opportunities we want to use as forums for parents to come. What are your concerns? What are your dreams and aspirations and goals for your child? And what are your child's dreams and goals and aspirations? And how can we help them? Do they want to become an astronaut? How can we help them? Whatever field they're interested in, we want to help them to explore those fields and to flourish in those fields. I hope this has been helpful. I just thought I'll give you a little background about who I am, where I've come from, and where I'm headed. If you want to support the work that we do at LifeSTEM Academy, please send me an email. We do have a scholarship fund that we're hoping to build and provide more opportunities for everyone to tap into our resources. Our math program is available as well. That takes you from first grade all the way to calculus. Wherever you are in that journey, we can guide you along the way. We want every child to flourish in their math learning as well as in their calling in life. Thanks for watching this video. Please feel free to subscribe, share this video with others. I believe we need a call to action for an education revolution in America. Things have to change from what they are right now. We can help more kids to flourish. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.